Welcome, Lumineers and fans of the happiest card game on earth. My name's Janty. You've just been putting the Inkwell along with the final few cards of set 3 of Lorcana into the Inklands. So after a pile of reveals were done on Discord today, we now have the full 204 cards from Into the Inklands. We'll be covering all the ones we haven't looked at already. We also got to see all of the Enchanteds, or at least actually most of the Enchanteds. There still seems like there's one in each colour that they haven't shown yet. We will be covering those in another video though. This one is just for the mechanically unique cards that we've not already seen and covered here on the channel. First of all, we have a 7-costed Inkable 4/8 for 2 lore, Grand Martala, Spirit of the Ocean, a Floodborn Mentor with Shift 5, and Do You Know Who You Are? Whenever a card is put into your Inkwell, gain 1 lore. This legendary card is a payoff for Sapphire that is needed for quite a while, to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of Sapphire as a colour in general. I don't particularly enjoy playing with items, and I've always felt like the ramp package of Sapphire just sort of ramps to nowhere, but it doesn't really matter if you're ramping to nowhere if you're gaining lore every time you do it as well. So I actually think this is pretty good. We have a couple of targets that Shill will go onto, both of which kind of fit into the ramp package. Obviously the 1-drop, being very ramp heavy, becomes ramp herself if she's banished, and then the 4-drop that we saw the other day, giving you a bit of card draw, which is going to be very important if you're dumping your hand into the Inkwell. I think she's quite playable stat wise. She's perfectly fine. Whether or not turn 5 is where you really want to be for this ability to really be kicking in. You've already done a little bit of ramp by then. I guess if you are ramping, she could maybe come down even earlier, but you've got to get a lot of hoops to be jumping through there to make that happen. But even still, I think this is a great piece in a Sapphire deck that cares about ramping, and for that reason alone, we'll most likely see play. Another one, we've got Grandma Tribal here, basically, a 3-costed uninkable 1/3 for 1 lore, Mama Odie, Mystical Maven, Storyborn Mentor, with this going to be good. Whenever you play a song, you may put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down and exert it. A rare card that does ramp exactly how it should do. Doesn't take it out of your hand and lets you do it for gaining other benefit as well. So if Mama Odie's down, you can play a song that can also ramp you, something like 1 Jump Ahead, or maybe you could use a Let It Go to get rid of something on their board, or even Let It Go on your own thing if you're just going to really go into heavy ramp. But either way, this lets you just do what this deck wants to do whilst you're also working on some other issue. And again, I think in a Sapphire ramp deck, this is very playable. Next up, we got a 6-costed Inkable 4/4 for 2 lore, Alice T. Alchemist, Dreamborn Hero Sorcerer with Curiouser and Curiouser. You can exert this card to exert chosen opposing character and all other opposing characters with the same name. This was showed off by Toy World magazine and is a super rare card. Fantastic art on this one and an interesting ability, but I'm not really sure this one sees play over something like a Spirit of Winter that's basically doing a better job, less conditionally. This is only really going to be prevalent if we really start seeing heavy typal decks. I mean, not even typal decks, character decks. At the moment, the only one I can really think of that this might, you know, do something towards is the Dalmatian Puppies deck. But even then, all you're doing is exerting them. It's not keeping them locked down for a turn. It's not banishing them or anything. So you have to be able to play this when your opponent has 1 or 2 things unexerted and you have something that you can throw into them. In which case, I just think there's a lot of better options in this colour and sort of cost. It's a shame because I think it's a really interesting ability on an otherwise great looking card. I just think this one's too conditional for it to really see any noteworthy play. Next up, 3-costed Uninkable 0/3 for 1 lore, Baloo von Brunwald the 13th. Dreamborn Hero with Bodyguard, and Let's Make Like a Tree. When this character is banished, gain 2 lore. Rare card here, and very playable rare card as well, I think. Clearly wants to go into an Amber Steel Bodyguard package, and I think that ability is fantastic. Bodyguards are purely there to slow down your opponent being able to deal with your heavy questers through challenging. It doesn't really matter if they're doing that much damage back, I don't think, really. They're just there as a wall. So the fact that this is a 0/3, I don't really think is a negative thing. I mean, obviously, you know, it would be better if the number was higher, but I still love the fact that this just comes down, sits sideways, and you've got stuff behind it questing away, and when this eventually gets taken care of, it gains 2 lore. And note that it's not even banished in a challenge either, so if this sticks around long enough to get picked off by a Be Prepared, or even, to be honest with you, you would choose to get rid of this off a Lady Tremaine, that 2 lore is actually pretty solid. I think this is very playable. Next up, we got our final location reveal, a 4-costed inkable location in Sapphire with a move cost of 1, a will pair of 9, and 2 passive lore. And I don't know. I just don't know about vanilla locations. I've said it a million times all the way through spoiler season. Need to be getting play with them. People who have got, done some early playtesting with these, they printed off proxies or what have you, are actually saying that these sort of cheap locations with big willpower on them are actually seeing a bit of play and actually doing quite good. Whether or not this does on 4, I mean 4 is such a heavy slot in Sapphire at the moment. So many great items, so many great characters that you want to be playing down on that turn. I just don't know whether this is going to really do what it wants to do. But then I suppose it is just a thing that gets you 2 lore every turn with 9 on the butt. You know, if they had a 0-9 character that quested for 2, I mean, probably wouldn't see play at 4, but, you know, maybe, I don't know. I think you need to get value out of locations otherwise, and I'm just not sure this one's going to be doing it for you. Next up, a 2-costed inkable 1/3 for 1 lore, Minnie Mouse, musical artist, Dreamborn hero with Singer 3, and Entourage. Whenever you play a character with Bodyguard, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. This is a rare card that could see play in a Bodyguard deck. I'm not sure it really sees play out of that. I don't even think this sees play in Amber Steel, honestly. You've already got the Cinderella that's going to be able to sing 3. Maybe it's a little bit more consistency. Cinderella's getting picked off a lot with just that 2 on the butt. So maybe this comes down on 2 and it guarantees you the Singer 3 on turn 3. But obviously that's a less of a tempo bonus than Cinderella on 2. So it's whether or not that Entourage ability is really prevalent for Bodyguards as to whether or not Minnie will see much play. Maybe, maybe not. Next up, 6-costed inkable 4/8 for 2 lore, Mr. Snoops, inept businessman, Dreamborn ally, common card, vanilla basically. Not a terribly static vanilla. I would probably pick this mid-pack in draft, but otherwise not much to say here really. A 3-costed inkable 1/5 for 1 lore, Magic Broom, the big sweeper, Dreamborn broom with clean sweep. While this character is at a location, it gets +2 to its strength. A common, kind of annoying that the sweeper isn't a sweeper. Sweeper being a term in trading card games sometimes used for board wipes like Be Prepared, but maybe that would be a little bit too strong perhaps. I don't know. This, it's another piece for the broom deck. I definitely think I'm going to grab all of these brooms and shuffle them together. They're all pretty low rarity, so I'm going to throw them together with a few extra sorcerers, a little bit of card draw, a little bit of board control from Steel and see what happens, but I'm not expecting much. This was one I just did not call at all. I expected this slot number 47 to be another broom. This is a 2-costed inkable 2/1 for 1 lore, Magic Carpet, flying rug, Storyborn ally with evasive and Find the Way. You can exert to move a character of yours to a location for free. Common card that could see play, again, just dependent on the prevalence of locations. Amethyst itself doesn't particularly have expensive to move to locations. The Forbidden Mountain Vanilla is just a 1 move cost. The Queen's Castle, the good one with card draw, is also only a 1 cost. The only 2 cost one, the Sorcerer's Tower, is pretty much going to be exclusively played in a Brooms package, and the Brooms move there for free. So this is only really going to see play if Amethyst has another colour with location prevalence that people are really going to want to get behind. The only one that really jumps out at me is either the RLS Legacy with 3 on the move cost there to give stuff evasive, and then it makes stuff cheaper to move, or the 3 move cost of Cusco's Palace that gives things the Cusco ability, or the Cheshire Cat ability, there must be banished, banishes the banishing a character. So interesting ability, nice to see it on just a common. I imagine the internal playtesting hasn't valued this particularly high for them to stick this on a common that also has evasive, and I'm probably inclined to agree. Next up, a 1-costed inkable 0/2 for 1 lore, Rafiki Mystical Fighter, Dreamborn Mentor Sorcerer with Challenger 3, ancient skills. Whenever he challenges a hyena character, this character takes no damage from the challenge. A rare card here that's definitely setting up for future sets. Currently we only have 1 hyena in the game, and that's Shenzi, and she has 6 on the butt, so Rafiki's not going anywhere near her. But ignoring that second ability, it's still not a terrible card, to be honest. A 1-drop that swings for 3 on the next turn. We've obviously got some other stuff that's already doing this, but still, don't hate this. Next up, a 5-costed inkable 4/4 with 0 lore, Stratos Tornado Titan, Storyborn Titan with Evasive and Cyclone. You can exert this card to gain lore equal to the number of Titan characters you have in play. Titans, much like Brooms, it's going to be one of those ones that I just want to get 4 of each, shuffle them up and see what happens. This actually seems okay. I actually quite like the Titan package. There's a couple more we're going to look at in a moment, and I think together they make an interesting little set of combos. It's going to be difficult to get them all on the board and doing what they want to do, but the ceiling there is very high. As it stands, obviously you're only going to play this if you're playing a load of Titans. Always quests for 1, but otherwise I just don't think you're playing it. Next up, 3-costed Inkable 4/3 for 1 lore, the Queen Hateful Rival, Dreamborn Villain Queen Sorcerer, common card, a vanilla. Nice art on this one, but otherwise not really much to say. Interestingly, the first queen, I think, that's not looking at the camera. She's very vain, we know this. I did not have this one on my Lorcana Set 3 bingo card, a 4-costed Uninkable 6/6 for 2 lore, Treasure Guardian, Protector of the Cave, Storyborn with Who Deserves My Slumber. This character can't challenge or quest unless it is at a location. So Magic Carpet gets it there for free, I suppose, but I'm not too sure the hoop is enough to jump through for a middling mid-game body. 2-costed Uninkable item, the Lamp, good or evil, banish this item. If you have a character named Jafar in play, draw 2 cards. If you have a character named Genie in play, return chosen character with cost 4 or less to their player's hand. Love the vibe behind this one, love the theming behind it. If Jafar's out, it's doing what Jafar wants to do. If Genie's out, it's doing what Genie wants to do. Really great flavor win. At the moment, I think this only really sees play in a Jafar deck, because that draw 2 cards becomes draw 2 cards, gain 2 lore if the big Floodborn Jafar is out. Even still, I'm not too sure whether an inkable item that only cracks once is really going to be worth it. Next up, 4-costed inkable 2/4 for 2 lore, Friar Tuck, Priest of Nottingham, Storyborn ally, with the ability You Thieving Scoundrel. When you play this character, the player or players with the most cards in their hand chooses and discards a card. Uncommon card that clearly wants to go into a discard package. I think this sees a lot more value in multiplayer, but bear in mind it never mentions opposing players. If you play this and you have more cards in your hand, it's you who's discarding one. Now, there's something to be said that this can work in both a discard package and a self-discard package. If your hand is nice and full and you pop this one down, it's going to be triggering things like your Sheriff of Nottingham, but that's a little too risky for my blood. Next up, a 4-costed uninkable item in Emerald, Starlight Vial. With Efficient Energy, you can exert it to pay 2 less for the next action you play, and Trap, you can pay 2 and banish the items, draw 2 and discard 1. Again, self-discard quite likes this, but that's only really because we haven't seen that many tools for it. I feel like the deck isn't as viable at the moment necessarily that this is a good card. Interesting to note that this is a Lorcana original item and doesn't come from a Disney Legacy IP. A 5-costed inkable 6/5 for 1 lore, Billy Bones, Keeper of the Map, Storyborn Alien Pirate. Common card that is just a vanilla, but in a pirate deck becomes a Maui, assuming you have a Jolly Roger out. So want to keep an eye on if you're a fan of the pirate typal stuff. I don't think it's there yet, but it is one to keep an eye on. 6-costed uninkable 4/4 for 1 lore, Madame Medusa, the Boss, Storyborn Villain with That Terrible Woman. When you play this character, banish chosen opposing character with 3 strength or less. Super rare that is doing its best impression of a Lady Tremaine and not quite getting there, I don't think. The fact that you can choose is a little bit of a bonus over Lady Tremaine, but that 3 strength is obviously going to mean you can only hit certain things, or you need something else on board that's going to affect strength, which isn't something that's consistently happening at the moment. 4-costed uninkable action in Ruby. On your feet now, ready all your characters and deal 1 damage to each of them. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. This wants to go into a challenge heavy deck, and unfortunately I don't quite think it's making it over the finish line just yet. 3-costed inkable 1/5 for 1 lore, Captain Amelia, first in command, Storyborn Alien Captain with Discipline. During your turn, this character gains Evasive, common card that hates Pascal, but otherwise probably doesn't see much play. Obviously this wants to go in a deck that uses support to make her bigger. Yes, it's just a common card, but I still don't love all the hoops. Next up, a 6-costed inkable 2/5 for 3 lore, Cloud Kicker Navigator, Floodborn ally with Shiv Shift 3 and Ward. I don't hate this, to be honest with you. The Shift target also has a Ward. That's a 1-costed Inkable 0-1 for 1. Literally just exists for you to shift this thing down on 3, but otherwise this is questing like a beast. I tried my hardest to make Sapphire Emerald Floodborne Matters work in set 2, and it just felt like it was spinning its wheels, but this is definitely a piece for it. Maybe I'll go back and have another little look at it. I feel like if you could draft both of these as well, you are absolutely cooking. Next up, a 3-costed Inkable 3-4 for 1 lore, Pluto, Mickey's Clever Friend, Dreamborn Ally, at common rarity. Look at this guy. He looks fantastic. He looks like he's about to tear things up. Seems like Minnie, Pluto, and Mickey are all trying to get into the cave where the Sorcerer's Hat is. Pluto's doing his best job there at keeping Gustav's attention. Next up, 4-costed Inkable 2-5 for 1 lore, the Queen Mirror Seeker, Storyborn Villain Queen Sorcerer, calculated in vein. Whenever this character quests, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. Well, at least it'll look nice as a foil. 3-costed Inkable item in Sapphire, Heart of Tefiti. Create life. You can exert and pay 2 to put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down and exert it. Rare card that's kind of doing what Fishbone Quill wants to do. Maybe he's doing it better, I'm not too sure. Fishbone Quill is coming down on 3 and is immediately online, but Fishbone Quill lets you put something from your hand into your well extra, whereas this is taking it from the top of the deck, which is much better, but it's costing you and you've got to wait a turn. So I don't know, maybe the deck plays both. Maybe you want to ramp so hard that you're playing both of them, I'm not sure. 3-costed Inkable 6-6 with 1 lore, Gustav the Giant, Terror of the Kingdom, Dreamborn Villain, with all tied up. This character enters play exerted and can't ready at the start of your turn, and break free. During your turn, whenever one of your other characters banishes another character in a challenge, you may ready this character. A rare card that, my word, has a lot of hoops to jump through. We feel like I'm doing a hoopy jumpy episode today. You know, a 6-6 on 3 is pretty solid, but having to definitely kill something next turn just to even get this to do anything is pretty rough. It's incredibly telegraphed, and your opponent will just do everything in their powers and not give you something to hit. I mean, I know that's the game anyway, but even more so when this bad boy sat there across from them. 3-costed Inkable 3-3 for 1 lore, Mickey Mouse, Stalwart Explorer, Dreamborn Hero with Let's Take a Look. This character gets +1 strength for each location you have in play. Not a terrible little payoff for locations here, coming down relatively early game and becoming a bit of a beater if you've got a few locations on board. Doesn't have to be at them, which we love, very similar to the John Silver that we saw. But you know how I feel about strength increases. Just don't really find them to be as much value as they as they are, I guess. 7-costed Inkable 3-10 for 3 lore, Mufasa, Champion of the Pride Runs, Storyborn Mentor King rare card, and this one takes the ticket, takes the trophy for this set, being the big old vanilla. Here it is. Here's your big old vanilla this set. 5-costed Inkable 5-4 for 1 lore, Pyros Lava Titan, Storyborn Titan with Eruption. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may resi chosen character. So it's having to banish a character, which isn't the greatest thing at the moment, but it does come in a package with another Titan that lets you exert something, so it gives you a target for him. When you quest with the other one we just saw, then use the other one to exert something. This can go into it. You can ready the quester, quest again. Hades can ready all of them, and you can then use this to ready Hades and get it all started again. Like, there's something there. The problem is they're all relatively high cost. I think they're all sort of like 3, 4, 5, 6, so you don't get a great curve with them, and you've not really got much to do in the early game. I mean, they're Titans. It would be a bit weird if they were 1 and 2 drops, but I really want to try this out and see how it goes. I think it could be fun. And I think that's all of them. Like I say, we did get all of the Enchanteds as well, or the character Enchanteds at least. I still think we're getting 1 location in each colour, but that one hasn't been shown yet. We'll wait and see. But I am planning another video on the Enchanteds just because their art style is so unique this time that I think it warrants a little chat about it, which we're going to be doing tomorrow. But that's it. 204 cards. Out of all of them, which one's your favourite? Let me know. I think for me, it could be the Ursula that ditches songs out of somebody's hand. I know that's a random one, but I think that's probably the one that's going to shake stuff up the most. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Till the next one, be good.